Hey, welcome back to Reddit Cheating Wife, the best channel for cheating stories. Like and subscribe to the channel for cheating stories like this.
My 30 male GF 28 female of almost 10 years has been cheating with a 50 male former coworker for months. By the end of this year, I will have been married to my girlfriend for 10 years. We've known each other since we were students at the same university. We're the only ones who've known us for more than a few months at this point. We had only shared a single night's sleep with each other. We grew up together and went on to become adults. I've seen and done all that life has to offer, both joyful and horrible. We sold our house and went from a small town in a rural location to the suburbs of a much more populated state outside of a major city in order to take advantage of a promotion I earned in March. Initially, she was reluctant to follow us, but we wanted to extend our eyes and explore what life in a more crowded area had to offer, so we went ahead and took the plunge. When COVID hit, she was unable to obtain employment for many months as a result of the incident. She was finally successful, but she was unsatisfied with the outcome of the process. Her mental health worsened throughout the pandemic since I was working 6 and 7 days a week as a manager for a crucial company, which contributed to the outbreak. On the 1st of November, she said publicly that she had had a mental breakdown at work and would be unable to return for an extended period of time. She then vanished without a trace for 8 nights without communicating with anybody. She said that she was staying with a close work colleague, but that there were other persons with them who were involved in substance abuse. They were seeking to get another friend to seek help. I was taken aback and worried since this was out of character for her. She will be back for a week. After making many unsuccessful attempts, she is unable to finish the whole day. Quits. She has now apologized and said that she needs to focus on her mental health at this time. She will have to fend for herself to get through this. It will need some time and space. Without telling me, she finally moves out into her own place. She gets rid of the vast bulk of her stuff in this process. I'm trying to be there for her at all times, to be there for her in difficult situations, to give her space, and to be there for her in difficult situations. She is always apologizing. I had a sneaking suspicion that things wasn't quite right. A month later, one of her former colleagues sent me a photo of her with this guy, which I shared on Facebook. She apologizes, but I was curious to find out. According to them, they've been dating since September of this year. The guy is married with children, and his wife died recently as a result of cancer, according to the man. He claims to be a recovered addict who relapsed at the start of the year. He has not been charged. The next day, when I message her about it, she finally calls and admits to the incident. They profess to be head over heels in love. Her, a 28-year-old woman, is over heels in love with a 50-year-old guy who is a recovering and maybe married drug addict. He is kind to her and takes good care of her in a manner that I do not do. He's almost certainly trying to make her seem foolish. Her father passed away in 2018 as a consequence of his own cancer battle, which I feel is the root of all of this. Aside from the atrocities she has endured, she has never grieved or processed any of her experiences. As a consequence of her mother's drug addiction, she also suffered from childhood traumatic events. Her daddy issues, together with a great deal of trauma and hopelessness, make her an ideal target for abuse and manipulative behavior. Despite the fact that we are officially finished, I wanted to share my story since I think it is unique, and I am now feeling alone in a foreign country with no friends or family to turn to for support. Update. Even those of you who are younger than me have more relationship experience than I have. In retrospect, I have been enabling her for far too long. Many of you claimed it's her fault as much as it is his, if not more. You are correct. Mental illness, anxiety, and sadness are all legitimate, but they do not excuse her conduct. The employee who contacted me said that the wife and family are aware of the situation and are plainly distressed. I'm planning to get an STD test, as well as counseling. Our lease was up in February, but the landlord had someone else interested and said she would pay me back for the final month if I could go, so I'll be looking for a new house as soon as possible. All passwords were changed, joint accounts were handled, and credit was already stopped. In that regard, I believe I have covered everything. I had a feeling the subject of not getting married would come up. We've been engaged since December of 2016. Her father's illness returned in early 2017, and he died in March 2018. She hasn't been in the right frame of mind to be married. We were planned for 2020 again, then we relocated, and then COVID happened. I was hesitant to marry her before she addressed her mental health and anxiety concerns, as well as after she let her physical condition to deteriorate. I knew it couldn't be repaired with just the two of us with me there for her. Update 2. The day after Christmas, when I found out, I spent the next week fighting with my ex-girlfriend over a variety of matters, including splitting phone contracts, bank accounts, and her taking the rest of her stuff, among other things. I'd been wanting to put an end to this for a long time, so I agreed to fly to their home so that she and I could make a few phone calls to straighten things up, and I could give her the remaining of her items and put an end to this whole ordeal once and for all. When I arrive, she goes over to my car and waits there, ready to make the first phone call we need to make in order to get things started. Before hanging up, he goes through the phone menus in an attempt to talk with someone. "Can you tell me what you're doing?" I had inquired. She expresses regret and attempts to contact me again. Once again, the same scenario happens. He walks through the phone menus, this time being put on hold and finally hanging up. At this point, I'm clearly annoyed, but she quickly throws a folded-up piece of paper into my car before hanging up the second time, saying don't touch it, read it later, and then hangs up again. All right, but what about your belongings? What about the phone calls we have to make? What about everything? I respond in kind. Don't be concerned about that, she says as she goes back inside the house. So I go in my car and immediately read the message, which is just a few words long and states that her mother would be contacting me, but that she should not text or phone her for any reason, and that it is vital that I do not communicate with her. As a result, her mother gets in touch with me shortly after. My ex-girlfriend called her the next morning and said she made a mistake. The guy is under the influence of narcotics and has perfect control over her every move. He is keeping an eye on her phone and does not want her to leave the house without him. He's aiming to rob her of her money and extract as much money as he possibly can. X did not acknowledge to any physical abuse, despite the fact that I am certain there was some. Her mother says that she is going to contact the police to get her out of the house as soon as possible. My ex-girlfriend inquired of her mother about the possibility of us talking about anything and anything. The fact that she has acknowledged that she has made a horrible mistake and is ready to seek counseling and do whatever it is necessary to get us back together. The woman said that she had been attempting for a long time to get away from the guy so that she could call her mother for help, and that Monday was the first chance she had to do so. I made the mistake of agreeing to meet her tonight in the parking lot of her friend's apartment complex, which I afterwards regretted. She explained to AP that she was going to meet a friend, and he let her to go. The thought of his showing up made her shiver. We spoke for an hour about how remorseful she is, how she has finally come out of the fog and realized she has damaged her life, and how she feels imprisoned and fearful with this person. She has sought medical attention and is now undergoing therapy since she is at a loss on what to do. It is her desire for me to work on things with her while she is in therapy so that we may recapture the lovely life that she now recognizes we had together. Attempting to mend oneself without assistance is something I'm frightened of doing alone. My boundaries with her were firm, and I made it clear that this was all her responsibility, that she had caused the situation, that she had injured me, and that I owed her nothing. It's still challenging because I want to be able to trust her and believe that we did have a pleasant existence for a long time before everything happened. Of course, she seems sincere in her desire to get help and make a change, but I can't bring myself to put my faith in her. The fact that you choose to end your relationship gives you the impression that you are a bad person. While it is necessary for me to respect myself and my limitations in order to continue, I do not want her to suffer any bodily harm as a result of this.